Season's greetings all. Commissioner Tim Wilshire here. This is season 25, episode 2 of the TRSBA, just in time for Christmas. And it's been very interesting. We just jumped past the halfway point of the season, so we'll do a bit of a review on how all the teams are going. Also, let's just have a look at who the best players are at the moment. Let's just start there. Luca, number 1, 48.56 fantasy points a game for Luca. Joel Embiid, 46.5 for Joel Embiid. Who's third there? Giannis, AD. I hope he's not injured. AD.
Picture of my boy AD.
That row will haunt my dreams.
Base jam.
Great bounce back year so far, though. He's played 25 games, 43.68. The MVP's fifth, Jokic, but look at Tatum and Curry. Curry with an injury at the moment. Tatum being really, really good. SGA has been massive for the Utah Saints. SGA. Kevin Durant, the Slim Reaper, always very good. He's at 40.83 fantasy points. LeBron in the top 10. Ja, 40. Pascal Siakam, just awesome. But has missed a lot of games so far. James Harden, we'll talk about him, but he's been very good, but has missed a lot of games. Donovan Mitchell, that's been a bit of a surprise. I think Trae Young down a little bit compared to where he could be. Good to see a bounce-back season from Lillard. Booker, Zion, we'll talk about him later. Awesome. Jaylen Brown in the top 20 as well. Jimmy Butler. So no real surprises there, I don't think. We knew Halliburton was going to have a big year, as was Porzingis. Those guys, Sabonis backing up, obviously a very good year for him as well. The big injury to Desmond Bain and Karl Anthony Towns. We sort of go a bit further down the list. Cade's going to miss the rest of the year, just had 12 games only. Banchero, that's a really impressive start for the rookie. So there's some stats there just to, Let's have a look at the news. The big news is, apart from that, we had a big trade between Dan, the Nerds, the Red Devils, and the Jags. The trade was 2 for 2. So we had CP3 and Markel Fultz leave the Nerds, and they've come across to the Jaguars, who gave up Lonzo Ball, who has been injured. Hopefully he'll be back soon. And Kelly Oubre. They've been playing really, really well, but I don't think there's only so much. How can he get any better? That's the question. Because he looked like a girl. We already had 2 Kellys on the team. It was a bit of a pain in the ass. We couldn't have 2 of them, so I had to get rid of one of them. So if we have a look at the standings there, we've got the Nerds have been. They were the team that was projected to probably lead the East. They're only 2 games away from the lead, and they haven't been spectacular at all. Let's have a look at what's been happening with the Nerds. They've done a few deals here and there. Start with them. They got Vucevic now, so they got him and used to have Collins for a bit. Porzingis, he's been really good. DeMar DeRozan's been decent. Klay Thompson, don't know why you'd start him. He's fucking being an absolute shit show this year. Why is he starting? He hasn't been great. 23.8 fantasy points a game. You need something a lot better there to compete. Harden, we know he's really, really good. Oubre, has he hit his peak? And then the bench this is where I thought Dan would be a lot better, and they've just been absolute turds. I like the Killian Hayes trade for Isaiah Stewart because Isaiah wasn't performing. Bagley has been booted, was starting for a short period of time. Sticks, Jalen Green has been shit as well. Precious Achua, so there's a bit of turmoil for a team that should have been probably leading this division. I think we had, if projections serve me correctly, I think we had Alabama maybe the second best team in the East. 16-12, not a great record, but the East hasn't really had any star, any star sort of performers. So when you look at what they've got here, they've got Giannis and Durant. Tobias Harris is definitely a career sort of year for him, I think. Ingram's missed a lot of games. LaMelo's missed a lot of games. So if you have a look at Ingram and LaMelo, LaMelo's only played 5. Ingram's only played 15. It's both below that 30 fantasy points a game, at that 30 fantasy points a game level. Russell Westbrook has been pretty good, better than I expected him to be. 26.4. He's been, he could have been shut down. What I like what he's done here is he's sort of got a few good veterans there. He's got Reggie Jackson off the free agent list, Caldwell Pope off the free agent list, Marcus Smart for pretty much nothing, I'm pretty sure. So well done to Alabama for fighting their way into the top position with not a deep roster, but a solid roster is what we say. Yeah, so they've been certainly really good. If we have a look at the what else is happening in the East. So they were 16-12, also 16-12 for the Predators. 16-12. Let's see. I think they've got some really good players on their team. Banchero has been better than advertised, even from a TRSBA scoring point of view. Paul George has missed quite a few games. Beal has missed a few games, but they are second. Anything can happen in the East, and it helps when you've got Joel Embiid playing and reasonably healthy. He's missed 5 or 6 games, but see how that pans out. Just a very solid team. Yusuf Nurkic, a really good guy to have on the bench, especially when he's playing this well. Lopez really started off the season really, really well. Might be on the cool-down stretch. Cameron Payne has had a good run as well. So nothing much else to see on that team that I can see. If we go back to the Butchers, only 1 game off. Are they going to sort of... What's going to happen here? Because their average is not great. Their average is not really that good, the Butchers. What are we expecting from Tampa Bay this year? Are we expecting something? What are we expecting for the rest of the year? They sort of are all over the place.
Tampa Bay this season was a whirlwind.
Yeah, definitely a whirlwind season so far. So I like the re-signed Clint Capella, Jimmy Butler, Jamal Murray into the starting lineup. It's taking his time to come back. DeJounte Murray's injured. Miles Turner, he's obviously pushed into the starting lineup now with Towns out. Simmons has not been as great as what we predicted. Gary Trent. They haven't really... I can't see a lot here that's exciting me. They are sort of a similar team to the Jags in the fact that they don't have too many players that destroy you, especially if Towns is out. That makes a big difference. He sort of had a bit of a downward stretch. Jamal Murray, DeJounte Murray, etc. So, Cole Anthony, Gary Trent, a few good guys there. What else have we got here? We're sort of looking at what's been happening. The Red Devils, we've sort of gone through them already. The Jaguars, 13-15. I think they're on a bit of a run. The Jaguars made some good moves here, but the one that stands out as being, I don't know if it's a boneheaded move. It just seemed like a good move at the time. It could still be good later in the season. And I think if you have a look at Jonas Valanciunas at 22.5 fantasy points a game, and last year he had 30, that's a big difference to what's 1 year to the next. And Zion is. We've had Middleton injured, so we've been able to ride that. And he's got a poor average so far, 17.3. There's an overflux of guards, and we'll talk about that, but Kuzma's been the best player on the team. Kevin Porter Jr., cousin Kev, did the trade to get Vassell. And,
You're losing your hair.
He's right. Without his hair.
Yeah, so he's been really good, 28 fantasy points a game. That's expect to even do better than that. Chris Paul has just come back. I think he's going to get into the flow of the season. McCollum has been up and down a bit. We should have a good run of Jordan Poole the next couple of weeks because of the Steph Curry injury. So those top 4 guards are really, really good. And there might be a trade to even things up before the end of the year. Olynyk and Washington, none of these guys are really broken out from a TRSBA point of view. Zubac has had a couple of good games, but look at that. He's sort of injured again, 21.8. Markel Foots, we'll see how he goes. He's deep in the rotation. Jalen Duren, we've been really happy with. If you look at that, last 5 games for Duren, 24.2 fantasy points a game. He's only 19 years old, guys. 19. Wow. He's going to be really good one day, I think. Trey Murphy, he's been up and down, 18.8. He's really young, so we wanted to sort of resign him for a long time. We like the acquisition of Jalen Williams, even though he's not going to be playing for the Jags this year. It'll be next year that we'll first see him actually scoring, but it's just good to see his development. And by the time year 2 comes, he might be a top 3 or 4 player in this draft class. He's pretty good, along with Duran. I think there's some really good young players here with some veterans, a good mix. They could cause trouble in the East. Any team can come out of the East, even the Jags, believe it or not. So it could happen. The Brown Cows, their average is actually the second best in the whole conference at 204.4. I sort of made a comment, I think, before the season that they were going to tank. And then I've sort of had a look at it again. So no, not with this lineup. Even with a season-ending injury to Chet Holmgren, there's no tanking going on here. Randall's been really, really good. He's back. Jaren Jackson's back. He's healthy. Jeremy Grant has been playing well. It's pretty good when you've got RJ Barrett coming off the bench, and I think he's averaging about 26, 27. Let's just have a look. I don't think it gets much better after him, though. 26.2. He's probably a better starter than D'Angelo Russell, but they don't have any pure guards that can just step in there, which is a bit of a problem. Karras and Powell, none of those 2 guys are that great. I don't think any of them will end up over 20 fantasy points a game. Levert just on a hot stretch there. Steven Adams has been okay. I like him, but I think where this team lacks depth is the guard position. So I'm not sure JB could have had some guards, but anyway, we'll see what happens there. I think he's going to battle a bit this year. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to beat JB if you're in the East. So anything can happen. You can go from a lottery to winning the conference. It's just like that in the East. The 2 teams that we know are sort of on the tank level. Let's have a look at the Wolfhounds. I think they're tanking. They've got all these picks. They've possibly got the Jags pick if it's not a top 5. They've got the Nerds pick. They've got their own pick. They've got the Snipers pick, which is dangerous because the Snipers are probably second bottom. Claxton there. Marketing. He's been really good. Giddy, he expected to be good. Sexton, that's shit. Why would you resign Colin Sexton? That's a terrible contract. Probably one of the worst in the TRSBA next to Aaron Gordon. There's been sort of a few people in the league have said, BMC, that you can't really have someone who's getting 24, 25 fantasy points a game in Aaron Gordon that deep in the rotation. It's probably not you're still playing the contract. So I don't understand that. You know, Colin Sexton's getting 18, he's getting 25. At least get the guy up into the sixth man slot above Usman Jeng, who's out injured, or Kai Jones. Those guys aren't going to play anyway. So, you know, Trey Mann off the free agent list. You know, he's got to resign. He's got all his contracts re-signed, as it were. So we just check out who's unprotected here. It's always interesting to know these things. Cam Thomas unprotected, Trey Mann unprotected, fair enough. Nick Dick Richards, Cameron Johnson. He's a good player. He's not protected, but Nazar Little is. Rashawn Holmes, that's a bad situation for him. Let's go to the West. Let's go to the Utah Saints, who, let's see what sort of win streak they are on. I think it's like 11 or 12 or something like that. The average in the Barbarians is they've got one game between them. DeAndre Ayton's injured at the moment, but it's all been about this guy lately. This guy, Zion. Zion. But yes, SGA. 42.6 over the last 5 for Zion. The best player on this team over the last 10. SGA. I think we found it this time. Here we go. The Sega. Jar. Yeah, he's just Jar, 40 fantasy points a game. He's just an absolute weapon. Mobley into the starting lineup at the moment when Ayton's out. 27.3 has been good. Hero's been the unsung guy. He's over 30, and Dennis made a comment the other day about this guy. So he's been good. Vassell, that was basically the trade for Porter. Clarkson, I think he's actually, look at the recent games, he's been really good too. 26.6 for Clarkson. But I need to find a sound drop there for him. Maga Porter Jr. Expected, hasn't done much. Pretty shit, actually. I'll put Maverin above those guys, actually. Milton, he's been good. Surprisingly, he's been really good. Let's have a look at the Barbarians. The Barbarians, 23-5. They've just got no picks apart from 2024. Bam, yeah, expected. Siakam, 38.6 is unbelievable. Tatum, 41.8, 41.6. So they've got 4 guys just on fire. But then you got 3 guys on the bench on fire as well. Freddie's had some big stats lately, some monster games for Fred VanVleet. Anthony Simons has had some monster games. I don't know Simons. He's been massive. Tyrese Maxey, Mad Max, Tangles. The Bogdanovich is, look at that. 30. I thought Bojan would have had better stats than that. He's actually been really good all year. Lowry, that deep on the rotation, 11th. 23.9 will get into most top 7s or 8s, but here, Trey Jones has been good. So they got all these guys. I don't know how they fit them all under the bloody cap. How does it? Let's just have a look at the maximizer salary at 40 million. That is the cap. They've got only 8 contracts. They don't really have any room to sign anybody. So you can only pick one. Pick one here. Probably pick Trey Jones. Let's have a look. If you pick him now, is it too late? Is the question. You better get in quick because he's 1.4 at the moment. And you've got 38. So if you don't get him soon, it's going to go past that for sure. He's the guy to probably take. And the rest of them go to free agency, but we'll see what they do. I mean, that makes sense. They've got 3 of these guards, McGowan's getting a guard forward. Interesting. Now the OCC, we said that this team was the third best. We said that they were the third best in the TRSBA, and that's what's been happening. There's a bit of an error message. So let's have a look at the dubs. Yeah, Rudy has been, I think he's out a little bit at the moment, but 10 out of 11 contracts. I don't think they're going to be able to get anyone else there. Franz Wagner, he's been good, 26.1. He's been really good. AD, we mentioned before, Luka Doncic. Just does it all himself, this guy. You think, what can you do to stop him? He, Bobby Portis. I mean, as I said, we made a mistake here. Hurdle and Portis have turned into what we call really good bench players for this team. Both of them at the 25 FP level. Both of them have had over 20 games. Yeah, not a good trade by me. I thought Valanciunas would be around the 27s and 28s, even with a dip. That could still happen later in the year, but I think it's a pretty bad looking trade right now. But I wanted to free a roster slot as well. And you got to think about these things. There's one bad move we made so far, which has helped this team a bit as well, especially the depth. I mean, them getting AD and the John Collins, that was obviously a masterful stroke in my opinion. Take a risk. Jay Rue's been good. We know that. Yeah, so didn't they have Irving at one stage? Who did they? Maybe they got, yeah. Portis and Buddy Hield. So, yeah, very good team, very deep, heavy. Rudy Gobert, that's probably what happened. Rudy Gobert, it was the deal that Irving sort of, I think was the deal, pretty sure. Let's have a look at his numbers, 27.6. Let's have a look at Rudy. Snipers traded Rudy Gobert to the double-doubles for Kyrie Irving and a second-round pick. So it was pretty much a one-for-one sort of deal. That was done about a month ago. Yeah, so his average has come down a bit, but that's sort of expected. He's not like a complete destruction machine. I think the Tigers, are they fourth? Just check who's fourth in the West. It is the Tigers. Now, this is one team we sort of got wrong. We figured they'd be a bit further down. But even with Wendell Carter out, they've still been able to get to where they've got. They started off really, really good. They've cooled down a bit. Scotty Barnes not being that great, but you look at those stats, still 25.7. Sabonis has been really good, as has Halliburton, as has Fox. Those three have been dynamite. The bench not so great. They've got Hayward. He's only had 12 games and he's their best bench player. So this is where they think they are weak. I don't know. They might be a little bit overperforming, but I think with Sabonis, Halliburton, and Fox playing those big games, I think has really helped. So we'll see where they go. I don't think I think that Pens probably will overtake them. Let's have a look at the standings again. I think the Pens have the better team and the Flyers as well. Let's have a look at the Flyers. Jokic, fucking gun. LeBron, gun. OG, gun. Kawhi Leonard, gun. Rozier, gun. What a gun starting five. I mean, this is fucking lit. They've got to resign a lot of these guys. LeBron's got to get resigned. But look at this. Kawhi, we know he's going to be back at some point. Spencer Dinwiddie, been pretty good, actually. Very solid. Apart from that, it's just a little bit lackluster, the depth. But, what can you do? This is a tough 16-man league. This is what happens. Let's have a look at the Pens. Who were just after them. Alperen Şengün, I thought he'd be a little bit better than this. He's been a bit lackluster lately. Keldon Johnson, yeah, he's as expected good. Booker, we knew was going to be good. Bane just hasn't been around. I think that's the reason, one big reason that this team is not where they are, is because Bane's not playing. Brunson, yeah, he's really good. But Jaden Ivey should be probably in the 9. I think he's a better player than Denny Avdia, so I'm not sure what's going on there. On Congo, I don't know why these guys are in the 9 when you've got guys like Max Struess on fire, you know. Monte Morris, so maybe switch it up the team. They should, Cade Cunningham, there you go. That's another reason. The Penn season might be done there with Cade getting injured. That's a big, huge loss. So I'd probably think that they won't make the playoffs based on that. Yeah, I think they miss out now because of the Cade Cunningham injury. Snipers, at least they've been competitive. They've battled. They've won 9 games. I think that's more than they won the previous couple of years. They've got John Collins. They've got Irving and Garland. So they've got some players. That's why they're going to win some games. Edwards, I mean, far out. They should be winning a lot more games with that starting lineup. I think it's the bench that's the problem. Let's just have a look. That's a pretty... Yeah, Allen's not playing as well. Collins has been like it. Yeah, it's bad. 22. Fuck. Shit. He's a lot better than that. Garland, also, he should be better than that, but I think Mitchell's got a lot to do with that. The bench, yeah, Brooks and Bolbol, that's about it. That's all I can see there. Kaminga might have a run soon. Connolly's bet is probably worth jumping it up there as well. And we look at the last team with the Hurricanes. Out. Only a couple of wins, I think. 2-26. That's just horrific. Walker Kessler, though, I think he's going to turn around a bit. Look at that. The last 5, 22.6. Jabari Smith, Tim Hardaway, Donovan Mitchell. So there are some players there, but it's just a shame, isn't it? You know, at least they're doing a bit of work. Johnny Davis, that's probably the biggest bust player so far in the draft. 2 fantasy points, 8 games. I think every other rookie's sort of done a bit better than that. They've got 5 to re-sign. I think Walker Kessler, maybe, I don't know who you re-sign when the team is this bad. I mean, you could sign Isaiah Jackson just for he's 20. I don't know, Corey Kispert. You might as well, re-sign Craig Elo or something. Anyway, I think that's about it, boys and girls. I think it's been good. That's been a good little catch up, hasn't it? Merry Christmas to you all. To all a good night. And that's my wrap up of what's been happening in the TRSBA. Thank you.